interest of my own process, I'm going to record this thought, and I'm prefacing it with this, I guess because it feels appropriate. So, reflecting on why we get stuck in the illusion of mental prisons in the form of behavior patterns, or we could call it trauma loops, where we behave in a certain way that causes us to repeat a type of circumstance, you could say, like dating the same type of person and getting the same type of outcome over and over again. Being aware that it's a problem, being aware that you want to shift, but it seems like you can't do it, or that you're stuck. And I think this is intricately tied to, among other things, our attachment to what we label the known, which is itself illusory in its own way. So, to unpack this, I have myself an awareness of a pattern that has played through me that seeks to avoid what it has decided is conflict, and what it has decided is the discomfort that comes with that conflict, through shifting my expression either by suppressing what feels right or natural, or by pushing myself into an even more, you could say, like extended role to that also is a degree below or after authentic, or a foggier version, you could say, of authenticity for both myself and others. And so I feel disconnected from myself. Others will feel disconnected from me. Neither of us might even be aware of it, but that visceral experience can't not be present when we act in a way that isn't a clear expression of who we are in that moment. And so with that pattern, there's this memory held in the body of data, you could say, that has created an equation, the outcome of which is that certain circumstances have enough potential to lead to certain outcomes that must be avoided to an alarming enough degree that it would take great effort or convincing to choose another option apart from the kind of unconscious reaction of, say, people pleasing, like in my case. And so what's happening is I'm trying to stay within the boundaries of what I have defined unconsciously as safe. And I've made that definition based on the assumption that I know that where I keep myself bound into is indeed safe. And I am able to support that illusion of knowing because of a sense of familiarity. It's kind of like I feel comfortable reaching out to somebody that I know well, like a family member, to engage with in certain ways that I would never engage with other people, and vice versa, right? We usually have an easier time being more vulnerable with strangers than family for the same reason, but kind of the opposite side of the coin, which is that we know is to be vulnerable with those we are familiar with. So it's kind of a convenient paradigm in that the sense of familiarity gives us the, you could say, like, justification to believe we know the truth about our mind's prediction of outcomes. And so we will either use that convenient assumption to prove, quote unquote, to ourselves that we know something is either safe or unsafe, but we change if it is or isn't safe based on if we're trying to remain attached or avoid something. And so as we move beyond all of this, in a way, the barrier that we come up against of the unknown is something that we're already permanently and totally immersed in on a fundamental level. Practically speaking, this doesn't quite apply as much, though in a way it does, in that I don't know that that makes any sense, and so I'm also not going to go into it. But on this more fundamental level, we're immersed in the unknown. We can't know that our predictions are true. And so as we let go of these patterns and give ourselves the opportunity to respond using, say, our intuition, there's an inherent innocence and well, I think innocence is the right word in this movement of action that acts in the way based on feeling, despite the fact that we're risking any outcome, because we're not trying to control the way that our expression is received. All we're doing is expressing ourselves with authenticity. And that authenticity is, in a sense, dependent on or codependent with not knowing and not needing to control based on our mind's prediction what's going to happen in response. And again, tying back to the innocence, there's an inherent trust in ourselves and in that whatever happens, we will be able to handle it in a way that is appropriate to our needs. And it's tricky because it's like there are situations where we are not able to handle we're unable to protect ourselves and we are harmed. And so as I see it, in acknowledgement of that, this is where there's this line in Everything Everywhere All at Once that the woman's husband says. Oh, it makes me cry every time I hear it. He says something to the effect of, he's speaking to his, like, naivete and innocence and kindness. That's it, his kindness. He says, it's strategic to be kind, or something to that effect. And I think that captures it so well, where, and this is the beautiful thing to me with this whole recognition or embracing of the unknown, that, in my opinion, it's actually the best strategy if we're looking from the perspective of the one or the activity in our mind that strategizes and predicts in an attempt to prepare and control. The best strategy is to proceed with this innocence, authenticity, embracing the ever-present experience of that we don't really know exactly what's going on, and we don't have any clue what's going to happen next. And yet, we can trust ourselves, and by extension, all of life, enough to act exactly as we feel is right, regardless of what our mind is afraid of will happen next. And I don't really want to go into, like, in my mind, what then comes up is like, oh, but Tennyson, then, we'll act crazy. Or if we do want to act in a way that's, I say crazy, but maybe unwise. And I guess all I'll say to that is, so what? So you do. And thank God you did, so that you could act